Hey guys, how are you? This is the Speedy Biker 191. And today I want to talk to you guys about Today I want to talk to you guys a bit about the motorcycle industry, where it's going, what's going to happen, and some of the problems it's facing and what they're doing about it. Now I've noticed, now if you guys haven't realized, most motorcycle riders, at least in North America, I mean obviously in Europe and in Asia this is a different situation. There's a lot more motorcycles and scooters, you know, different demographics of people, different lifestyles, different incomes. So yeah, I'm talking strictly about North America, and more specifically Canada's motorcycle industry, which unfortunately isn't doing that well. But the motorcycle industry is, but the companies are at least trying to come up with some solutions. I've noticed I noticed when I first started riding, there was barely any choices for small motorcycles. You know, like pretty much anything like 500cc and less, there wasn't that many choices. And of course, as you guys all know, basically 500 or 500cc or less is basically, you know, beginner motorcycles, because they're generally 1 or 2 cylinders, and those are the ones that would be cheaper on insurance. But I think part of the problem, why the motorcycle industry has been struggling, is because for a long time they're just milking away at the racing types of people. What I mean, and the older crowd. So what I mean by that, they're marketing, you know, these really big motorcycles, which unless you have a lot of experience under belt, you probably shouldn't be riding. And then of course, you know, there was the cruisers, which really appeal to the older crowd. But those two, you know, most of them are, you know, like 700, 800, more cc. You know, of course. So yet again, bikes that are designed for a more experienced crowd would probably be more expensive on insurance. So for a long time what was happening was the motorcycle industry, they just said, you know what, fuck it, young people, they don't want to drive motorcycles, so let's not even bother trying to appeal to them. Once they have the money, they'll buy their 1000 and crash, and we don't care, you know? That was probably their mentality for a very long time, and now it's biting them in the butt. You know, so of course right now I'm talking about the industry side of things. And of course, in the same time, you know, in Europe and in Asia and other places, they would have motorcycles, you know, all kinds of different CCs, all kinds of different types. But I've noticed over the last few years, since I've been riding, there's been a lot more. Like, for example, when I started riding, the only bike you could even get under like 250cc was literally the CBR 125, that's it. And then they came out, then like a year later, they came out with a 125 Grom. Companies, I've noticed they came out with a lot of different scooters too, like 125cc scooters. You know, and that would appeal to people, you know, that would appeal to beginner riders too. And of course people that might not want to get a motorcycle simply because there's a clutch, or you know, maybe they just want a more practical form of motorcycle, you know. And yes, I do consider scooters motorcycles. I don't care what people say. To me, they're real motorcycles. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day I would own one myself, just because they're practical. But I've noticed over the last few years, you know, you got the CBR 300R, you got the CB 300F, which I'm riding right now, which came out in 2015. I think Kawasaki came out with a 125 as well. And then of course you have the Yamaha R3, you know, which is like the Yamaha R6 but a smaller version. You know, and these bikes, you know, they're smaller CCs, but they still got, you know, style to them, and they appeal to a younger market. So I think if companies, you know, I think if the industry keeps going on this way, you know, providing more choices with smaller bikes, I think that's definitely going to help them a lot. And of course, part of the problem too here in Ontario is we got we've got this garbage, this scam I call insurance. And let's be honest here, it's really overpriced. And that's what's obviously holding back a lot of young people. You got to convince them, one, that motorcycles are cool, and affordable at the same time. So you got to have motorcycles that are, you know, where the nut. Why do they keep jabbing the brakes like every second, on and off the brake all the time? Just stop doing that. Anyway. So yeah, so as I was saying, you got to you got to make the motorcycles affordable. So probably under $5,000 brand new. Because let's be real, somebody who's new to motorcycle, they're not going to spend more than $5,000 on their first bike. Alright? You got to keep the price low. And then after all that, you know, licensing, you got to do driver education. And of course, in Ontario, it's freaking expensive. I remember when I started, like a motorcycle training course was like 500. Yeah, it was like 500 flat. Now it looks like it's almost $600. It went up so much over the last few years. Now it's almost like 600 to do a beginner rider course. And you know, I wouldn't recommend anybody to ride without one. They teach you all kinds of, you know, special slow speed maneuvers that are very important. So yeah, the licensing is pretty expensive. And the thing is, even if you wanted to start off, like, let's say you're young and you just want some kind of transportation on two wheels. Like, let's say you wanted like a 50cc scooter, you're 16, you might not want a car yet, you just want something for, you know, for fun for the summertime, to, you know, hang out with your friends and whatever. Like, let's say you wanted like a 50cc scooter. In Ontario, even if you want like a small 50cc scooter, it's like freaking crazy expensive. It's like crazy expensive in the sense of like licensing. Like, you still would have to do a rider course, and it's basically like getting a full motorcycle license. So, you know, how are we ever gonna get, you know, I think they need to make like some sort of easier system to get at least a scooter, because I think if people can at least get like a 50cc scooter when they're young, like they do in a lot of European countries, later on in life they're a lot more likely to buy a motorcycle or a bigger scooter, right? So, you know, that's the difference of Europe and North America. A lot of people here, they start out with a car because it's basically, you know, especially in Canada here, it's basically just as much to get a license for a car as it is for even just a scooter. It's ridiculous. Or for a motorcycle. So, and then of course we got the whole insurance thing, which is really expensive. So, you know, and you can't ride, and of course you can't ride for the whole year in Canada. Of course, now I'm going to be talking about like the insurance hurdle. getting insurance in Ontario is ridiculously expensive for cars, and just as ridiculously expensive for motorcycles for young people. Even for a scooter, insurance can be expensive for a young person. So, you know, I remember when I had my 125, you know, TD, they wanted me to pay $4,000 a year for a vehicle I'm not even going to be using for part of the year because of the snow and the really cold weather and the ice and salt. They wanted me to pay $4,000 of all things a year, like 300 something a month. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? For a 125cc motorcycle, a motorcycle that can hardly go on the highway, you know. Then, so I shopped around for a while, and finally I got a company that was charging me like $200 a month for a 125. That's pretty expensive, you know. It's a small motorcycle. It's more than the bike's worth. Now, because I'm older, I'm 27. I'm gonna be 27. I'm actually paying less for my 300 than I did for my 125. I'm paying like $124 a month. But then again, I also have to pay for the whole year. So even when I'm not riding my motorcycle, I'm still paying for the stupid insurance. I think it'd be very helpful too if we could somehow get like the motorcycle companies involved with the insurance industry, like to create more realistic. Maybe it would help create more realistic rates. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I don't know. This guy's slow. I hate when leans in. Look at this guy. No, he's like right at the end. Okay, turn signal, go. And you see, part of I think a lot of people, they don't really understand why insurance in Ontario is so expensive, and the reason is because they have an excuse to keep it expensive. And I mean an excuse to keep the insurance expensive. Not even because the drivers are bad, like although there are bad drivers, still compared to the rest of the world, like trust me, I've been to some places where everyone drives like absolute maniacs. Ontario drivers, yes, they have issues, they're not perfect. You know, there are some crazy drivers. It's not that bad. Come on. And I mean, we have look where I am right now. Like, most people are following the rules. It's not too bad. You know? Even according to the Ministry of Transportation, Ontario has some of the safest roads in North America. And I believe it. Like, when I went to Ohio in the US, I was surprised just how awful the drivers are. And now, mind you, I have a friend who lives in Ohio. He pays $30 a month for his car. He's like 32 or something. He pays $30 a month. And part of it is because, in a lot of places, insurance. See, in Ontario, the payouts are really big for insurance. They have it set up so that way they can give you potentially up to $1 million, which is obviously very open to being scammed. They're very open to being frauded. So the insurance companies, what will happen is every step of the way, I can tell you right now, I had a car accident once. Every step of the way, somebody's going to try to get as much money out of the system as it can. The tow truck drivers will charge $500 to tow your car. The shops will charge 2 to 3 times more what it costs to actually fix your car after an accident or a motorcycle, whatever. If it's not total. Oh, I went down the wrong one. Oh well. I realized I came at the wrong supposed to be down the road after the highway. I get stuck in traffic now. Must you be so close to my butt? If somebody hits you, you're gonna hit me. And so yeah, so the minimum for insurance to pay out is $200,000 if you get into an accident, but chances are they're going to want to pay more in case somebody tries to get mad, in case somebody complains there's not enough money, and then, you know, just to cover their butts and say, oh, look how much stuff we're giving. So yeah, that's the minimum, but most of them will pay out at least $500,000, and then companies, you know, that can go up all the way to like $1 million potentially. Some companies will give you, actually more than that, some companies will give you fucking $2 million if you get into an accident. Now that's if you get into an accident that's that bad. Now chances are it won't be that expensive. So of course, because like the payouts have so much potential to be high, everyone's trying to milk the system, and that's where the fraud problem is coming from. Everyone's trying to milk these large payouts from the insurance companies, and then the insurance companies, they get to turn around and say, see, look at how much they're claiming. Oh my god, we need to up our rates. And so, and there's so much fraud. Look. If your fraud wasn't, if your payouts weren't so big, there'd be less reasons to fraud. They should have some sort of assessment centers to see how bad the injuries are. And all of this would help to reduce the fraud, you know? So anyway, so you know, that's how it all relates to motorcycles. Anyways, anyways guys, I'd like to hear your thoughts and ideas on how we can get young people into motorcycling. And I wish you guys all a great day. It's really cold here, it's like 5 degrees.